Do you have any idea yet how many young people are expected to descend on the coast for Schoolies this year?
So we're looking at, there's 28,000 school leavers, high school leavers, and we look at about 90% of those usually come to Schoolies.
So, are you expecting Schoolies? What are you expecting this year?
Well, this year we've undertaken the planning as we do in most years. We have received no intelligence that there's going to be anything different. As you know, Schoolies is not a police operation. The police support about 10 government and non-government groups who provide entertainment for the young Queenslanders who descend on the Gold Coast, actually from next Friday. And basically the entertainment is provided because, as you know, Queensland school leavers are mostly under the age of 18 years, and so it's about providing them with entertainment to keep them safe in an area and away from licensed premises.
There's been reports this morning that authorities are telling school leavers that if they fess up to taking drugs that they won't be prosecuted. Is that unusual?
Well, no, and often it's the way it's said. Persons are, we have an obligation to investigate and take action against persons who are in possession of drugs, physical possession, and driving whilst under the influence. I think as part of our duty, we look at the preservation of life as being very important. And if a young person has ingested drugs, which we totally try to send a clear message that we don't want young people to be taking drugs, but if a person has taken drugs, it's most important that we assist the QAS and assist with the health and safety of that young person.
Surely there has to be some consequence though for someone taking drugs. I mean, is counselling appropriate, or what action can police take?
So the police are required to investigate all instances of drug abuse. But as I said, the possession of drugs and in particular the driving of vehicles or using machinery of drugs is an offence, and police must investigate that. Where you find a young person has made a wrong choice and ingested the drug, the most important thing is their health and safety. And we encourage then, when the ambulance has been called, for them to be honest and explain to the ambulance what they've taken, because as you know, drugs that are sold on the streets can be mixed with all sorts of chemicals, and so the health and safety of that young person is paramount important to us.
So you're saying perhaps if they're a first-time taker or consumer of a drug, but I mean, how can police differentiate between those people who perhaps are trying an ecstasy tablet for the first time and someone who has taken it a lot and just had a very bad effect from the drug?
Well, at the time when the person is presenting to the ambulance and their life is in danger, that's not the time for us to be looking at the person's history of drug use and our investigative responsibilities. Our main concern is to help that young person and to make sure that their life is not endangered.
What's to stop, say, 28,000 schoolies going, we've just heard, what's to stop, say, one bloke getting caught with drugs? Okay, won't happen again, sorry officer. 3 days later, the same bloke comes up again and again and again, and he just keeps saying, well, I can get away with it, I'm not going to get done.
Well, they can't, because as I mentioned before, the possession of drugs is an offence, and we take action against people who are in possession of drugs. What we're talking about here is a person who's presented to the ambulance, who's in need of medical attention, and who's ingested the drug, not actually in physical possession of the drug. So that's the issue that we're talking about at the moment, and their health is and their safety. And in fact, the fact of whether it's life or death is the most important thing to us at that time. And that's why we encourage young people to be honest with ambulance when they're asked the question, what have you ingested, to be honest with them so we can ensure they get the proper medical treatment.
Just to clarify, I mean, wouldn't that be the situation in any circumstance where a person has consumed a drug, that the police wouldn't go in and arrest them?
Naturally. That's correct.
So it's not particular to Schoolies?
No, definitely not.
It's not an offence
offence to actually do drugs, is it? It's only if you're
It's not
caught
an
with
offence.
something.
It's not an offence to have drugs in your system, other than when you're driving a motor vehicle or you're operating some sort of plant material. But it is an offence to be in possession of them. In any case, any time that a person's involved in drugs, police will investigate. But we have the discretion then to influence the outcome in terms of how we proceed with that. So there's a number of prosecutory procedures that we can take.
Do you collect intel on these kids who might say, yes, I took something, but they don't have anything on them?
We collect intelligence for many different reasons, and drugs, yes, is one of those areas where we would collect intelligence.
Are the police taking extra measures to make sure there aren't lots of drugs on the streets at schools?
Yes, every year we ensure that we support operations for people who are distributing or manufacturing drugs, and this is particularly prevalent this year with our Operation Takedown, who are very conscious of the drug distribution before schoolies.
Have you found many drugs in the lead up to schoolies?
There's been a number of arrests for possession of quantities of drugs, yes.
Any idea the weight or how many kilos
No.
we're looking at? What sort of drugs this year?
We've had marijuana and tablets, various tablets, MDMA tablets.
And you believe these were destined for schoolies?
Well, I can't say.
What's the message that Queensland Police are trying to put out to schoolers at this point?
I think there's a number of clear messages, and one is that they need to look after their mates. So make sure that if someone does become vulnerable because of excessive use of alcohol, that they look after their mates, keep safe, and be aware of their surroundings. That's most important. I think one of the other clear messages is drugs are unlawful. We do not want people to participate in drugs. We don't want people to use drugs. We don't know where those drugs come from or how they're manufactured. It's a very dangerous thing to be doing.
Well, one of the biggest drugs is alcohol, isn't it?
Correct.
That's one of the biggest dangers to
That's correct.
those young people.
And that's why there's entertainment provided for the young school leavers at Schoolies, so that we can encourage alcohol-free entertainment, so that they're not participating in the excessive use of alcohol in accommodation blocks.
Are you relieved that a decision has been made to shut off the balconies?
I think that's most important, because a skylarking or a bit of foolish behaviour can end in severe tragedy, and I think that's a good thing.
And do you have a message to parents who might be tempted to send their children off with supplies of alcohol?
I think every year we encourage parents to act responsibly, and they know their child. They should make sure they keep in contact with their child every day to ensure that that young person is feeling okay. We do know after a few days of being in the environment with lots of friends, some young people become a little bit down. It's about parents making sure they know how their children are feeling and taking the appropriate action.
Will you be doing something to ensure that parents aren't supplying their kids with
So
alcohol?
what we promote is early intervention with our policing strategies. Early intervention means that our police will be out on the roads from lunchtime on the first day of school is commencing, which is the Saturday, and they'll be making walkthroughs of accommodation housing. They'll be giving messages to parents who they see. They'll be taking up with managers of accommodation and apartments and providing contact numbers so that the accommodation people can keep in contact with the police too.
How many police are working this year?
We have over 300 police committed to the operation, and these police are drawn from around the state.
Do they include drug detection dogs?
At this stage we have operations organised, whether drug detection dogs are there. I can't
We've
say.
seen the bikie crackdown. Do you expect that that will have any impact on the distribution of drugs at schoolies?
I can't comment on the task force take back and their operations over that period, but the extra police on the ground as a in relation to Operation Take Back is very encouraging.
What's the penalty for parents found guilty of supplying their kids with alcohol?
So secondary supply is a penalty under the Liquor Act, and we're looking at up to $600 as a fine. Bearing in mind secondary supply is difficult to prove. We don't have any rights to enter premises to prove secondary supply, so all we can do is encourage parents to not supply underage people with alcohol for their apartments.
Obviously, parents sending their kids to Schoolies on the Gold Coast might be a little bit apprehensive with the amount of violence, I suppose, that does happen each year, and sexual assaults, etc. Is there a way to try and put their minds at ease, or tell their kids to go to Byron instead?
No, I think Surfers Paradise has a excellent planned policing response this year for Schoolies, and it will be a safe and enjoyable environment.
Anything new this year? New equipment, new anything for Schoolies?
No, I think the only strategy that we've enhanced is the early intervention strategy earlier on in the day, so that we can try and prevent some of the secondary supply and encourage parents to take responsibility for their children while they're dropping them off.
First year the police chopper is active for school?
Yes, it is.
What role will that play?
Well, it'll play a role in the patrolling of the area, Surfers Paradise, and provide assistance to police on the ground should it be required during the event.
You said police would be doing walkthroughs of accommodation and stuff, but you don't have the authority to enter premises.
That's correct. We don't have authority to enter premises unless police are invited into the premises, but we certainly can walk through the accommodation areas, the general areas, and provide advice and support, and also early detection of offences under that Liquor Act.
Have you got kids going to Schoolies this year?
I've had 3 through Schoolies at Surfers Paradise. I don't have any more going through Schoolies. Each one of them went to Surfers Paradise, and each one of them stayed in the centre, and they had a most enjoyable time.
How did you sleep?
Well, I actually worked 2 of those nights, which was a bit unusual for me, but I walked the beat and I enjoyed it immensely. Anything? Yep.